An enchanted evening.
Some enchanted evening.
Some enchanted evening.
And a celebration donut for getting to the end of season 1.
Exactly. Everyone at home, have yourselves a donut too.
Krispy Kreme.
Krispy Kreme. Well, this is just Tesco's own. No, it's Cadbury.
Dunkin' Donuts.
Dunkin' Donuts, yeah. There's all sorts of any donut provider that you have. But yes, though, some enchanted evening. 13th episode of the first season.
Is it unlucky?
Is it unlucky? Yes, it's just very bad. Written by Sam Simon and Matt Groening. Aired sometime in 1990. It was after April, because that's when the Krusty Got Cancelled one was played. So probably end of April, early May. Yeah. I don't know, maybe it took a week off. You don't know with these early TV shows. But yeah, so the last episode of first season, basically what happens is Homer and Marge are having a loveless marriage again. There's some kind of early thing where Marge feels unloved, which is resolved pretty much instantly. Yeah. And then they go on a romantic dinner, and Bart and Lisa's babysitter turns out to be some kind of horrible baby kidnapping thing.
The babysitter bandit.
The babysitter bandit.
She pretends to be a babysitter, but then she ties up the children and steals all the stuff. So wait a second, there's a plot hole.
What?
So, the babysitter bandit seems to be like a pretty well-known figure, like in the Simpsons universe. Why would the babysitting service hire her?
I mean, maybe the whole the babysitting service and all, have they previously worked for the Simpsons?
Yeah.
Well, then how do they... Well, don't they know their address? Like, wouldn't they refuse to send them to that house?
Exactly, they'd be like, oh, you just... Yeah, it's stupid.
I think that's the least of the episode's problem.
That's true, yeah. So as a season finale...
It was pretty bad.
Pretty bad, yeah. It's not a good conclusion.
At their best, season's finale should sum up, like, the season so far. It doesn't have to be, like, progressing a story. It can just sum up, like... Because this is how it's going to end. So you have to end it on some kind of note to keep people coming back for the next season, if that. Or to do some kind of definitive summing up. Now, this has gone for the style of just doing, like, an episode like any other. But it's a much weaker episode. Imagine if it had ended with the Krusty gets framed.
That would have been a great way to end it.
That would have kept you coming back.
Yeah. The thing I want to bring up with this episode is how bizarre the animation is.
Oh, it got awful, yeah.
It's like another production company did it. Yeah. Because the character designs are all off. They're all disproportionate. They look wrong. For some reason they decided to spend the entire budget on this really overly animated scene where the babysitter bandit's talking to Bart and she's talking like this, what you doing, Bart?
And her eyes go,
and it's like, oh, do. It's really bad animation, it's not good at all. Makes Don Bluth looks like Don, I don't have any animation budget, for lack of a pun.
Don blew the budget on one specific thing.
Yeah. Because all Don Bluth's animation has a really over-dramatic... it's all animated and it just looks silly and over-exaggerated and doesn't work.
No.
So for some reason we spent the entire animation budget on just on that one scene.
Yeah, it did look like that. Marge looked her way off. She was way more leggy than normal, taller.
Yeah, taller,
She normally looks a bit like more dowdier, obviously to fit in with the fact that she's like an older housewife. Even though she's revealed to be 34. I'm sure she's older than 34 normally, isn't she? Or she the Simpsons are supposed to be like
I'd assumed that like Homer and Marge were the same age all roundabout since we met in college.
Oh, we met in high school and
high school, sorry, yeah, high school, yeah. So yeah. So it's not even like maybe Homer was an older student. They met in high school, so
well, they're in the same class, aren't they?
Yeah, same year, I think. Doesn't really gel.
No.
So we've got that. That doesn't bode well straight away.
No. They do attempt to end the season on like a note, a summary, where there's that scene where it's like, well, if you raise 2 kids that could do this, and then it's meant to be all sweet, and you're like, oh, but it doesn't really work, does it?
No, them Simpsons. Oh.
Yeah, they're lovable scamps.
They're lovable scamps, yeah. No, it doesn't work at all, does it?
No, because there's not any... Well, the main problem with this episode is that the first act is trying to tell a whole story in itself of Marge feeling loveless and having to go to everyone's favourite recurring character.
Dr. Marvin Madrow returns to the finale.
Exactly. He returns. I'm assuming that they wanted to maybe a spin-off, like The Critic.
Like The Critic, yeah.
Yeah.
It stinks.
It stinks. Well, Marvin Monroe stinks, so...
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he will be returning.
But there's no build-up to Marge feeling distressed. What even prompts her, like, to go to him? No, like, Homer just walks out the door as he normally would. He's a bit
She's
busy.
having a stressful morning. The kids take money from her handbag. Homer doesn't kiss her before he goes off to work because he realises he's late. And that's pretty much it.
That all seems pretty reasonable. It sounds more like she has problems with a kid stealing from her than problems with Homer.
Yeah, it's selfish of Homer not just to ignore her like that, but not like...
It's not something that you'd...
Go see a psychiatrist.
Exactly. I mean, you can assume it's a recurring issue, but
yeah,
it comes out of nowhere.
Yeah. It does it much better in a later episode in the series.
Yeah, there are some brilliant ones. A lot of the brilliant ones do revolve around Marge and Homer. Like the one I was telling you about where Homer gets kicked out of the house and he lives in the tree house and he fashions a belt out of a rag or something.
And he has like a plant with Marge's face on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He tries to get the plant to look after him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great one, but these early ones are just too inconsistent with their... And then like Homer comes back with that rose and then the chocolates and he's instantly forgiven.
Yeah.
But it doesn't make any real sense, like why she forgives him or even what. It just has no... The problem that they have has no sort of like internal like logic to it.
There's no through line.
Yeah, it's just resolved as soon as it's brought up. And just to get the plot line of the babysitter, but they could have just had like any excuse to get the babysitter in. Exactly, yeah. It just doesn't work. The babysitter itself, there are some okay directional touches, like where she drags Lisa away from
almost Hitchcockian in its tension.
Exactly. Well, they're trying to do... Well, it's pretty horrific, isn't it, really, if you think about it.
That is traumatising what they go through. Like, they get tied up and they invade... It's almost like the scene in Clockwork Orange where Alex invades somebody's house, obviously, with
the singing in the rain scene.
Yeah, it's like a more sanitised version of that, really. Yeah. It's traumatising, like the idea of like a home invader.
Yeah. Especially one who somehow has managed to fool a babysitting
agency. Where was her CRB check?
Exactly. Maybe that's a comment on the early the late 80s.
The late, yeah.
Reaganomics. They didn't need to do CBR checks then.
She just got the job done.
Exactly, she got the job done in this free economy. Who cares if you have a criminal record?
She just gets on with it.
Exactly, that's capitalism at work there, folks.
Yeah,
but no,
she would be proud.
Yeah, she would be proud. It had none of the satirical elements that make The Simpsons so brilliant.
No. The happy little elves are in it again.
Oh, were they in it? Oh, were they the Christmas one?
Yeah, and they're almost like a spoof of them really crappy.
I thought that meant to be
specials.
The Smurfs.
Yeah, like the Smurfs. Yeah, it's like a whole crappy holiday special or really poorly animated, contrived, and awful. Which makes me question why Lisa would watch it. Cause
that's true. Lisa seems to enjoy it, even though she's.
Lisa seems to like in like pretty much every single episode. Lisa regresses or like she changes. Like some episodes, she's more the Lisa that we know and love.
The crusty one, the best one.
Yeah. Where she's smart, she's intelligent, she's working out the plot, and in some episodes she just acts like, a dumb kid.
Yeah, it's weird.
Just like Bart's dumb younger sister.
It is really inconsistent. Bart's the only one where the writers seem to have any kind of handle on who he is. Even Marge, and to a lesser extent, Homer fluctuates between being like a likeable idiot and a horrible husband.
Yeah, a horrible human being.
And a horrible human being, yeah.
It makes you question why Marge stays with him.
Is that in this one he becomes more likeable, and this one
just because he gets some.
Well, yeah, because he gets some. He at least makes an attempt to appease Marge. It's not like in the bowling ball episode.
He's really distraught about it. He's really worried about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not completely selfish.
No, so yeah, he's fluctuating across all the season, and but yeah, it's just a mess. This episode there isn't even like anything. It's just boring as well.
I didn't find it boring.
I don't know. It felt longer than some of the other episodes.
I enjoyed the second half more.
Yeah.
With like the really weird animation and the babysitter character, I just think it's just bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's not what I'd recommend, and not a good closer to the season.
Stick around for us to summarise the season. Oh yeah, out of 10.
Out of 10.
Some Enchanted Evening. It wasn't the worst, it wasn't the best.
4.
Yeah, I'd say a 4.
4 out of 10, just below average. So yeah, it wasn't very. We didn't have a very enchanted viewing.